Hello, gathered friends. This is Spider, and welcome back to another review. And today we're taking a look at the Lego Bionicle Lewa, which is set number 8535 and released back in 2001. So, to get things started, we'll take a look at the packaging. So, here we have the canister, Lego Technic up top. You got Bionicle bottom there. You got the number of the set. You got a nice image of Lewa there. On the back, you got the name of the character. You got some pieces and stuff. You got the little underneath thing. I don't know why my brain's not wanting to say what that is, but yeah, you got that, which is pretty cool. You get the top of it, the Bionicle head, and it can actually function. You can put a mask on that if you want. And something I don't know if I've talked about yet, but the top of the canister is always tinted to be slightly similar to whatever color the figure is. Like you can see, this one is slightly tinted green, and Golly's was tinted slightly blue. That's a neat little thing. Next up, we have the instructions. You can get a nice, or a better look at that. Very nice artwork on the front. Very cool. Obviously tells you how to build the figure, how to build the combined form, which we'll talk about in another video. You got the back of it, and that's pretty much it for that. Onto the figure. And here we have Lewa, or Lewa. Lewa? I don't know, there's a few different ways to pronounce the name, but me personally, I always called him Lewa. Now, first things first, we're going to take a look at his articulation, and since I've already covered quite a few of the other Toa, and the articulation is pretty much the same, I'm going to be going through this pretty quickly. So he's got nothing really at the head. The arm can spin around, can go out. A little bit of forward and back on the ball joint. Obviously it can spin. The hand, also on a ball joint, so you can have that moving all the way around. But if you want, you can just click it into place, which is nice. The other arm can move forward a little bit, move back a little bit, can go out, and obviously rotate because it's a ball joint. Nothing at the waist, but the legs can do a full splits. Can't really go much forward. And a little back. Can rotate. Foot can go up, down. A little bit of tilt. Can rotate all the way around. So yeah, just like all the others, got some limited articulation, but these older Bionicle figures were focused mainly on gimmicks and such. But one thing that does confuse me about the articulation on this guy is that usually when they have, a weapon in one arm, the other kind of neutral arm will be stuck in place. But this one is loose, like super, super loose. I don't know why they did that. That is kind of weird. I've heard some people guess that they did that so you can make him look like he's swinging from a vine, like he is on the canister. So he's got a vine wrapped around his hand. So people assume that's why they made his arm super loose, but it's honestly just kind of annoying. So what I like to do is replace this gray peg axle piece with this blue peg axle piece, which for some reason adds friction, which holds the arm in place. So yeah, for whatever reason, I guess the blue peg is like ever so slightly bigger than the gray and tan ones, because the gray and tan ones are always super loose, but the blue ones never are. It's very strange. But anyways, doing that allows the arm to move and stay in place. So that is nice. Now that we're done with the articulation, we can take a look at the gimmick that I mentioned earlier. And since this arm has a weapon, it's attached to a gearbox, which if you rotate this, I swung it the wrong way, you can swing the arm. Make him look like he's chapping at something. Chop. Which can be quite fun. And The main thing you're supposed to do with that is the masks can come off somewhat easily, and so you're trying to knock the mask off of whoever you're playing against. That was like the little mini game that you could play with these figures. I never really played that. I don't know. I was just like leaving the masks on the figures. But I imagine this axe would be pretty useful in that little mini game. Okay, now moving on to the details. You see the figure is wearing the green Miru mask. Looks pretty cool. I really do think they nailed all of the original 6 masks. Some of the masks after the original 6 Toa, some of them can be kind of funky, some of them can be really cool, but I feel like the original 6, they just did a very good job with them. Obviously you can pop it off, and you get the face underneath, which is the same as all the others, but he does have a different eye color. This one's sort of like a lime green kind of color. And because it's translucent, it does have the nice light piping feature, which, see, works pretty good, even though I'm not really shining a light on him. But if you do shine on him, it goes Ultra Mode. Look at that. Oh, look at that shine. That is glorious. Love me some light piping. You get the nice gears in there, which are pretty cool. You get the little ball at the chest. Still think that's kind of weird. You get this other arm, similar to Tahu and Gali's and plenty of the others, but in green. Get the main green body, pretty much the same as the others. You get this arm and a hand, which is similar to Pohatsu's, but a little different with the 2 fingers in the front. I know they look like machine gun cannons, but they are supposed to be fingers. And I never really did care for the shape of this arm, the way they built it. It looks kind of awkward how it's just in this L formation. Not a big fan of that. So I usually, when I pose it on my shelf, I usually swap the piece like this. And honestly, I think that just looks a lot better. The arm just sitting position just looks a bit more natural than before. I don't know, I like that a bit better. Anywho, we'll move on to the legs, which are pretty much the same as all of the other Toa. The same leg pieces and the same Toa feet. So yeah, you get the back, you get that gearbox. Pretty simple, although there is one little issue with my copy, and that is, it's broken. Well, not broken, but it's damaged. You can see this gearbox, you can kind of see there's like some warped bits here. You can kind of see it more so from the side. Yeah, it's kind of bent out of shape. It's still, thankfully, useful, but yeah, that's really annoying, especially since the eBay listing did not make that clear at all. In fact, they said the figure was in great condition. Yeah, look at that, great condition. As you can tell, I'm still a little salty about that, but whatever. Like I said, still works fine, so it's okay. In fact, it actually, because it's warped, it actually adds a bit more friction on the arm, so it stays in place. Because usually, the gear function arm would be loose, but it isn't. So hey, that's a positive outcome of the warped figure, but hey, whatever. And then of course you got his weapon, you got his axe, or hatchet. Is it an axe or a hatchet? I don't know, I hear more people refer to it as an axe, so I'm going to call it that too. One solid color, and it does look pretty cool. You got a little Lego logo inside there. Yeah, nice simple weapon. Looks cool. And Lewa himself. Looks pretty cool. Now, each Toa represents a different element. And with Lewa here being green, and his village being in the jungle, and him swinging on a vine on the front of the canister, you would assume that his element is jungle, right? Nope, it's air. Yeah, Lewa is the Toa of Air. Bit strange, ain't it? I mean, I guess the villagers do live high in the treetops, and they ride giant birds which fly through the air, so there's some things that tie into that element, but jungle would have made so much more sense, which is why in Bionicle Generation 2, they actually changed it to being jungle element. Although, after so many years of it being air, now jungle feels weird. So it's just, that's a bit of an odd thing. But whatever. Now that's pretty much it for this set, but there is one more thing I want to talk about, and that is Golden Mask. Yeah, now this did not come with the original set. You would have to track one of these down yourself. Man, I was able to get one off eBay. It actually came with the figure. Someone listed it with the figure, so that was neat. So you can swap it with the golden one. And now he's all powered up. And while the golden mask does look cool, I always thought it kind of contrasted with the rest of the color of the Toa a little bit. So like, it does look cool, especially when you know the lore of the golden mask, but it does kind of stand out a little bit. But, yeah, whatever, it's still cool. So, with all that done, we can move on to the size comparisons. So, to start things off, as always, here he is with a Lego minifigure, with the Pack of Destruction minifigure Mothra, the Pack of Destruction minifigure Godzilla, and finally, here he is with the rest of the Toa Mata team that I have reviewed so far. Now that we're done with all that, it's measuring time. So bust out this measuring tape. You can see the figure. Move the arm out of the way. See the figure stands a little over 6.5 inches tall, so pretty decent sized Lego figure. So, that is pretty much it for the original Lego Bionicle Lewa. And overall, he's pretty neat, you know? It is still awkward to pose, just like all the others, but also just like all the others, he's still fun to mess around with, and very nostalgic. And if you did want one for yourself, on eBay they're going for around $30. However, if you wanted one with, you know, the instructions and the canister and everything, it's more like $50, which is pretty dang expensive, especially since I think these guys were like $7 originally. Man. Yeah, you ain't gonna find one near that price. Heck, even the mask alone is probably more than $7. Yeah, these guys are really expensive nowadays. I mean, the one I got was like $70. But to be fair, mine came with a couple extra goodies like the golden mask and something else that I'll talk about in another video that it'll be slightly more relevant to. But yeah, that's like the big thing of like, you want to get into collecting Bionicle figures, you have to be prepared to spend some money because these figures are many years old, and as the days go by, they just get more and more rare. Sucks, but what can you do? Anywho, that's really all I've got to say about this figure. Hope you all enjoyed. See you later. Sayonara.